The Duke of Edinburgh died at Windsor Castle in April, aged 99, just 2 months before his 100th birthday. The Queen's husband, the longest-serving consort in British royal history, passed away, peacefully, Buckingham Palace said at the time. While the Duke's death left a nation in mourning, one newsroom veteran has suggested that his passing may not have resonated in quite the same way in the US. Express.co.uk spoke to David Bernknopf, CNN's former vice president and director of news planning for 20 years. He said, "Not to insult anyone who lives in the United Kingdom, but Prince Philip's death got covered. People talked about it. I don't think most Americans thought about it the next day. I don't think there would be magazines that would put him on the cover on the anniversary of his death." During his time at CNN, Mr. Bernknopf covered some of the world's biggest stories, including the death of Diana, the Princess of Wales. The ex-news boss was in charge of a team of reporters at the network as the first reports emerged that Diana had been involved in a road accident in Paris. He spoke about the story for the podcast, We Interrupt This Broadcast, which takes an in-depth look at the biggest events in world history and how they were covered in the media. Mr. Bernknopf appears in Episode 7, The Death of Princess Di, which examines the night the world lost the people's princess. Diana was pronounced dead in Paris on August 31, 1997, after a car she was being driven in crashed in the Pont de l'Alma tunnel in Paris. Her boyfriend at the time, Dodi Fayet, also died in the crash, as did the driver of the car, Henri Paul. Speaking to Express.co.uk, Mr. Bernknopf compared the coverage of and reaction to Diana's passing to other royal deaths. He said, "What would be interesting, not to jinx anyone, but the Queen is getting up there in age and everyone at the network level has been making their plans for how to cover that eventuality. Who do we send? How many people do we send? And that will be a big deal because of longevity. People in the United States are familiar with her, but I don't think it will have any of the emotional resonance that Diana's death did. She was something special to a lot of Americans when there was no reason for that to be. She had no title that affected an American." Unlike the Duke of Edinburgh, Mr. Bernknopf said Diana's death was a monumental event for many Americans. Describing the newsroom on the night, the CNN veteran said that pretty much everyone knew what a big story it was going to be. He said, "Because it's Diana, there was no arguing with the show producers or the writers. Hey, you people need time to understand how important this is." Whatever their age was and whatever their experience level was, at CNN people understood the importance of her to our viewers. In America, just like our viewers, were, "Oh my gosh, Diana, we have to cover that." The only pushback that I got was from someone on the international assignment desk who very early on pushed back. We Interrupt This Broadcast is a 12-part docuseries based on author Joe Garner's book of the same name, which examines some of history's biggest stories with the help of the journalists who covered them. A second season of the podcast, which is hosted by broadcast legend Bill Curtis and narrated by NBC's Brian Williams, is due for release this autumn. Other episodes of the series look at JFK's assassination, the 9/11 attacks and the 2000 presidential election. Related articles: Queen had impressive knowledge of Girls Aloud when she met band John Lydon expresses sorrow for royal family. Lady Louise Windsor channeled her inner queen as young girl.